everyone. Got a tough time slot. You all in a post-lunch slump? You're okay. Hopefully you're okay. I'm completely overwhelmed by the people that are in the room today, to be honest. There's an incredible array of talent from all different walks of life, ages and backgrounds, and it's so exciting. But my problem is I don't even know how I'm going to be able to make breakfast tomorrow without feeling inadequate, because you're all quite exceptional, and that's why I love coming to talk at these kind of events, more so as a participant, because we've had some great presentations today, as I'm sure you'll agree. So my name's Anna, and I'm from Pollinate Energy, a social enterprise that works in India, bringing life-changing products to the people who need them the most, the people that are living in urban slums. That's not my slide. Either is that. Thank you. Yay. Anyway, is this me that's doing this, or...? Just checking you're awake. So we
forward.
Give me the novice learner one. Okay. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, energy poverty affects nearly 1.3 billion people globally, and 400 million people of those are living in India, mostly in those slums. Without access to electricity, they rely on kerosene for lighting. Can you believe that? Kerosene and a small, tiny little candle that barely emits much light at all. The cost of kerosene is significant, both financially and for their health. When you light a kerosene candle inside one of these structures, so it's basically like a tent. If anyone's here a camper, you'll know how restricted the air is in a tent. You're inhaling the equivalent of 2 packets of cigarettes per day. You can't see those fumes, but that's what you're breathing in. No one has told these people living in these communities that kerosene fumes are one of the biggest killers of women and children in India. And it seems a little bit ridiculous, don't you think, that we could potentially have another option, like a solar light. So I'll just show you the light. It's the best on the market because we've researched many solar lights, and there's more lights that come on the market all the time, but this is the best. And I won't do the drop test. You can drop it and it doesn't smash, but I bet you if I did it would smash. You plug it in through a cord, and it runs up along the roof line, and we install it on the roof, not usually with a child, I promise you, for workplace health and safety reasons. But he was very excited about installing his family's solar light. This was taken just earlier this year. It's just an incredible shot and I love it. So yeah, it runs back in, and then this sits usually at the top of the tent on the inside, or you can take it out, use it as a handheld if you're walking around the community, or you can, it comes in a stand as well, so it sits in a stand, like kids can have it on the stand and study at night. So it's a nifty little product, amazing. We sell them here in Australia if anyone needs one for their camping, as a side note. So that's the light. And it was started, Pollinate Energy was co-founded by 6 pretty incredible Australians, again, overachievers, back in 2012, so not too long ago. And their mission was simply to replace that kerosene with a solar light, because why not? From our humble beginnings with a pilot study in Bangalore, down in India's south, we now work across 4 cities. I just returned from India on Monday. I was there for a few weeks as part of our professional fellowship program and just meeting our teams. I was visiting our newest city, Lucknow, which has just been crowdfunded for just at the end of financial year. So we were able to launch, and we're now fully operating in Lucknow, which is exciting. I had written the base of a speech for you today that is, standard Pollinate speech. But having just been in Lucknow and having a bit of an experience on the ground, I wanted to share that with you today instead. And it won't be shared outside of this room because it's probably a little bit personal, and we don't often share, well, I certainly don't share the kind of image that I'm about to share with you today either. I want to share it with you because I've worked in community development, as Andrew mentioned, for sort of over 15 years in different spaces. And It never gets easier, and nor should it, when you're seeing people living in these situations. But this was a moment that I was completely underprepared for, and it was a moment where my breath was taken away, and it's starting to get taken away at the moment, because I know I've got to flick the slide. I don't usually take photos in the communities either, but I did take this photo on this occasion because I felt like it was an important reminder for me personally of why I choose to work in a social enterprise and why it's important that we all continue to do as much as we can to reach these goals. So, this photo. So this woman lives in a slum community in Lucknow, population 2.1 million, and she is a rag picker and her family are rag pickers. And for those that probably know what rag pickers are, you know their vocation is working in the city dumps to recycle the waste, and that's their source of income. No more than $1.10 a day Australian. The difference with this woman, and I've worked with rag pickers before, the difference with this woman is that her and her family and the community of that slum, they're living in the rubbish dump. There is rubbish over my head all around them. We're working as fast as we can, and we're working really fast at Pollinate. It's amazing how much impact we're having, and I'll talk to you about that in a moment. But sometimes in this moment when I'm standing there next to this woman just last week, I feel like sometimes it's not enough, and it really upsets me. We're there visiting this particular family and the slum, surveying people as part of our professional fellowship program. So we're trying to assess what services she has access to and what products she might be interested in to help improve her life, things like the solar light. So we're getting that baseline data and to actually determine whether we're a good fit for her. But as you can see from this woman's expression, she was completely disengaged. Most people who are completing surveys or we're visiting are pretty excited to talk to us, to be honest. It's a great feeling engaging with them through a translator when you're someone like myself and can't speak Hindi. But it's a great feeling knowing that we're having an impact and they're telling us what their problems are, and we know that we can solve those problems. This woman, I could only assume what she was thinking. And my interpretation, whether it's correct or not, my interpretation in that moment is that she was looking at us thinking, here we go, here's another group of people coming in to ask me some questions about the way that I live. They'll turn around and go, and I'll never see them again. And I'll be sitting here like this next year and the year after that. And it was a really difficult moment for me to take a step back and remind myself that the team will get back to her in hopefully 6 weeks' time when we secure enough budget that I fundraise here in Australia to buy some product to get to her. Sorry, really stressful. By purchasing a solar light, so how does this work? How are we going to change her life just by this light? By purchasing a solar light, she will go on an interest-free payment plan to pay the light off. She'll get after-sales service by our pollinator. Pollinators are much like hummingbirds who are the core of our business model. They're essentially local entrepreneurs who live in and around the community. They're often vulnerable themselves and need work opportunities and a more secure future. So we provide them essentially a business in a bag, training, resources and ongoing support for them to develop this business with our sustainable products to go into the communities and sell them. So this woman will pay off her light within 5 weeks. Our customers have a default rate of less than 1%. And the reason why this woman has seen people walk away and not come back in terms of being able to help her, it's because government, other NGOs, other CBOs that we see in these communities, they go in, they turn around because they think the problem's too big and they think that this woman isn't a reliable customer or recipient. So we've proven that she will pay off this light and the default rate is less than 1%. It's incredible. It's incredible. She'll start saving the money that she would otherwise spend on kerosene on other areas of her life, maybe educating her children, buying more nutritious food, accessing healthcare. It's the equivalent of $3 a week. So across the year, that's significant when you're earning $1 a day. She'll also now be able to work a longer day. So traditionally, Indian women need to come home and prepare the evening meal. And so for someone who's living in a slum community, that needs to be done before the sun sets because it's very difficult to cook a meal under any circumstances. I'm a terrible cook, let alone when you don't have any light. So they come home before the sun sets, cooks the meal, and that means she's left work early essentially. By having a solar light, she's able to stay at work those extra couple of hours, come home at dark and cook by the solar light. An extra 20 rupee a day is very significant to the family income. It's also very significant to the respect levels in the family. I hate to say it, but most women that we talk with in our communities, it's very much mostly migrants that have come from rural areas hoping to make a better life, and it's an unfortunate scenario where families are coming, men in particular feel like the opportunity hasn't presented itself, he's not able to support his family, he'll abandon his family, and the woman is normally there on her own with her children. So for her to prove her value in terms of more income is quite critical to that family staying together. So in being able to sort of take a step back and a moment, I sort of could recompose myself and knew that we will get back to her, and maybe one day when you see me in 12 months' time at another event, you can ask me and I'll let you know if we did and how her life's improved from here. So in 3 short years, we've sold over 17,000 lights because it was just updated this week, impacting 75,000 people. And we now sell new products like water filters, solar fans, mobile phones, improved cook stoves, mosquito nets. So that also impacts our local entrepreneurs. They've got more products to sell, which is better for their business being sustainable. And then obviously these other products affect this woman in a different way, clean drinking water, etc. So in saying that, we obviously impact the Sustainable Development Goals, of which we're really proud. It was never part of our mission to have this huge impact on world goals, but we are, and it's something the team's very proud about too. So this is one of our pollinators, Soma, who's an absolute legend. She's in Kolkata, and we've just rolled out the solar fans there in Kolkata, and I was there as well, and it was 35 degrees, and I tell you what, solar fan is exactly what you want in Kolkata. There's very happy customers in Kolkata with that option. So today, I don't just want to talk about Pollinate Energy. I also want to provide some ideas on where we feel like social enterprise can develop in Australia. Because we know, I think everyone in this room, we know that social enterprise is in its infancy. We've had the opportunity to engage with so many social enterprises worldwide, mostly US, UK, Europe, and they are far along compared to Australia. I'm pleased to see sort of the governments having some conversation, I guess, with the industry. And there's lots of things happening with incubators and accelerator programs and universities as well. So this is great. But there's a long way to go if we seriously want to harness the potential of this industry in Australia and to avoid it being watered down by people simply just wanting to cash in. There are 3 areas where we feel like we can focus on that are priorities as far as Pollinate Energy is concerned, and Ranjit actually touched on all 3. So given I have no credibility, given he mentioned all 3, we can take that on board as gospel, I reckon. So I'll go through them and yeah, maybe you can reflect a little bit about what he was saying as well. So the first one we think is engaging our young people. As he mentioned, 50% are under 30. It's young people who are becoming social entrepreneurs because for the most part they're the ones that can take on the inherent risk and financial insecurity than the rest of us that may have children and mortgages and things. And in saying that, I think potentially the great Australian dream is moving from owning your own home to owning your own business, which is very exciting, and particularly for me at 23 when I started my first business and everyone thought I was particularly crazy. It's nice to see that there's great support now for young people to take on that risk and have a go, and it's great for our economy as well. Some universities have started to offer courses in social business, which is fantastic, but it also needs to be a greater play on mainstream education and not just an obscure elective. There also needs to be more hands-on opportunities for students, and for one of these reasons we started the Student Fellowship Program where we take students to India and have a hands-on experience with Pollinate Energy in our communities. We've received incredible support for the program globally from students and academics, and University of Sydney is also a big supporter, which is great, but it's now just a matter of other universities to sort of look at offerings that are available and give students the opportunity to use those experiences as practical credit towards their studies, because I think all of us would probably agree the best learning you can often do is out in the field. If you are in this room and you're in the education industry, please don't hesitate to contact me and look at our offering. The second one is support for scale. So scale remains a big challenge for most enterprises, and that's why they do stay small and local. Achieving scale is often done through strategic partnerships with government or unique funding wins, which Pollinate's fortunately been the recipient of because we have been able to prove our impact. But there needs to be greater opportunities for social enterprises beyond that startup stage and move beyond the thinking that impact investment is one of the best solutions, because it doesn't fit every model. If you're someone that's considering impact investment, it may not be right for your business. It's certainly not right necessarily for Pollinate as we currently stand. So those working with the poorest of the poor like us, we're never going to be able to generate the kind of profit an investor is going to want to need in return. So there has to be something else, grant funding, for that missing middle, that missing middle like us that's done that startup phase. We got some hype funding, but now here we are now, and we need to scale. But how do we do that? The last one is collaboration or partnerships. If you've heard me speak before, you'll know that this is a big motivation for me. There's simply no point in all of us going about this on our own. There's so much that we can learn from each other, resources shared, opportunities, network, for example. And that's only going to help all of us create a successful social enterprise industry within Australia. Pollinate is extremely open to for anyone to connect with us, and we have our professional fellowship program where we have fellows come in, or professionals at any level come and spend 2 weeks with us in India, where it's a shared investment of capacity building from the fellow, and we provide them a deep dive into social business. So it's a great hands-on opportunity for both parties. We then support that professional when they return home to either start up their own social enterprise, and we put them within our network, or we help them become an entrepreneur in their local corporate where they're feeling like their corporate needs to look at business in a different way. I'll finish up there. I just want to sort of say thank you firstly for listening to the Pollinate story, and I just also want to mention, like, I know it's really difficult to start your own business, and then the social business is a whole different level of crazy, and I think you're very brave to be doing that. And while there'll be dead ends and sleepless nights and lots of gambles, there'll also be those champagne moments where, you know, your heart bursts with happiness that you've finally made a difference. And so I implore you not to give up. And if you ever need anyone to champion your efforts, you can give me a call. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. So thanks so much.